What's up, everybody? I am in Delray Beach, Florida right now with the one and only Mr. Ben Ripstein. Did I say it right?
Ripstein.
Ripstein.
Well, actually, my family doesn't know, but so I just say Ripstein.
We're going to get into that as well. So, Ben, today's a special day because I flew out from California to get to know you a little bit better. And we actually want everybody else here in Florida to get to know you a little bit better.
Perfect.
I don't know if anybody knows exactly what's going on here. Okay.
Right.
So, first things first, we're in Florida, but you're not from Florida.
No, Chicago native.
How did you land in Florida?
Well, a couple answers to that.
Yeah.
One is really was the car business, right? So I would go to Manheim Palm Beach, which is located in West Palm Beach. Used to come out for the Highline sale. So would come out monthly, religiously.
Yeah.
Really nice, super high-end cars.
Hold on. We got to take it even back before that.
Okay.
How'd you even get into cars?
Wow.
Were you a car guy? Were you a mechanic?
Yeah, I've always been a car guy, right? So like I got, when I turned 15, I got my grandma's car. It was a 1985 Chevy Cavalier.
Okay. Okay.
And like every other 16, 15-year-old kid, I spent way too much money on a 1985 Chevy Cavalier. I repainted it at Miko. I put some big-ass subwoofers in the trunk. I tinted the windows, but I didn't realize that the brake lines were all rusted. So I flew off the road into my neighbor's yard because the brakes went to the floor. I didn't hit anything, thank God.
Wow.
But from there, I was like, shit, I need a new car, right? So I wanted a stick shift car so bad.
Yeah.
So I bought a Dodge Neon SRT or whatever it was and got the car and I blew the clutch, right? I blew the clutch within like 2 days of ownership of this thing. But the cool part was I had a real adult job at 16 years old. So I was 16 and it was a law firm, but it was a collection agency. And this law firm, the attorney goes, Ben, why can't you make it work? I said, look, I bought a car. It's a lemon. He goes, let me make a phone call.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he said, but obviously he said legal mumbo jumbo, which, no disrespect to attorneys. I don't like getting the legal things, but he said something. And my next car was a 1996 Camaro Z28 and no 60-year-old kid, especially in the winter, should have a Z28 Camaro, right?
Wow.
So I got that. And of course I spent stupid money, had a good adult job.
Yeah.
Put some mass airflow sensors.
How old were you, 16?
16 years old with that Camaro Z28. Did not come up in I had a great upbringing, but not from money, right? Like there was no Camaros in my household. My dad had a paper route in the nights that helped pay the bills. He was a union bread driver. Wow. My parents had no aspirations of nice cars, but I always liked nicer, finer things. But it really wasn't for the wow factor. I just actually liked driving cars, right? Like I actually loved the sound of it. It made, I guess the best way to describe it at 16 years old.
Yeah.
Just like every troubled 60-year-old, it was my escape. It was my way to get away, right? So I could get in a car and I could leave my house. I could go wherever I wanted. And I could do whatever I wanted. And then to do it with a car that was fast, had a V8 that grumbled. I mean, it was fun, man. So
what color was it?
That one was red, typical, right? I wanted the SS, but again, I couldn't believe that I had this car.
Yeah.
From there, I did crazy stuff. I had an adult job. I was so blessed I ended up buying a Turbo S. I had an 04 Turbo S that I had an X50 package on it. I've had some really cool stuff. I'm always a huge Porsche fanatic.
Okay.
From there, it went into where I started a car dealership in Illinois in 2008. I think it was the year. I started in a tiny little warehouse in a town that some people may actually know. It's called Volo, Illinois. And the only reason that a town has any record, is it's called the Volo Auto Museum. But beyond that, there was nothing there. It was cornfields. It was.
So did someone tell you, because I know you like cars, were you like, oh, I like cars, I should start a dealership?
Well, look, no, actually. Everyone told me don't do it. It's a horrible business. You're never going to make money in it, and no one's going to send you money sight unseen to a car.
Interesting.
But in 08, in that era, was the era of eBay, right? So I was like, shit, I put these cars on eBay. I took really good pictures. I did it all myself. I detailed the cars myself.
Wow. And did you buy the car? Like, were you buying them private party?
So I was doing so I had a dealer license. I went through, I was all self-taught, never in the car business to where I worked for a dealership or had a family member. Yeah. I literally just looked up the rules. I got a dealer license in the state of Illinois. I found a place. I got them to inspect it.
Wow.
And then I was like, shit, what am I doing? So, and I took the chances and I bought cars that I loved, right? Like, I was passionate about, like I had one of my favorite cars, not to keep talking cars, but I had an '02 Viper GTS and tungsten gray with silver stripes. Wow. Allegedly made like only 50 of these cars.
Wow.
And that, I remember I bought it from the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park, Illinois. And it was the end of the season.
Yeah.
And I bought the car, if I'm not mistaken, for 54 grand.
Wow.
And I kept it in my garage and I liked it and whatever. There were some people from the Midwest will appreciate it. It's the East Coast too, where it's like that 70-degree day in January that just pops out of nowhere. So I took it out. But then I had to put it back because I didn't want the salt or anything on it. But I sold it in the spring and I sold it for 62 or 61 grand. So I was like, wait a minute.
Was that like your first taste? We're like, oh shit.
That was my taste of saying, like, I like cars, but I can make money selling cars. Like, wait, I just turned a profit by accident.
Yeah.
So then I started doing more of that, right? Like, and it's trial and error, right? There's anyone that says they make money on every car they buy is a complete lie. Yeah. Do not believe that bullshit. Yeah. You lose money in the car business. Yeah, yeah. The other thing I think is a misnomer or misunderstand the car business. Car dealers don't make 20% margin, 30% margin.
Even though they say that.
Some people. It's hilarious, man. Like it's, look, there's cars I lose, and sometimes your first loss is your best loss, right? 100%. Like people just have to understand that you don't always make the right decisions, but just learn from your mistakes. And sometimes it's just not mistakes; it's just business. Markets adjust, things change, interest rates go up. There's a lot that heavily impacts the car business, 100%. Right? Typically, right, the most expensive thing that somebody buys is a home, and the number 2 most expensive thing is a car, right? Yep. So, that's just things that, what is fascinating about the car business, though, is influential people, affluent people, cars are sometimes an extension of them. Sometimes it's their personality right now, right? Like I sometimes, I make up, the Corvettes are certain types of people. Yeah. Porsche guys are certain type of Mercedes.
Like a gem is kind of like you.
Yeah. Well, hey, asshole. Yeah, that's true. Like I took a gem home, right? Like, yes, I became a gem dealer. One of the reasons I did it is I'm a new car franchise store selling these gem carts that I have. And we can talk about that later. But a gem was my attitude last night. I was listening to Tupac in my gem and I was grinding with my son. It was fun, right? But
so tell me this. 2008, right?
Yeah.
How did what was it like either selling? What was the business model like? And then how did you get business?
So I didn't go to business school, right? I self-taught.
Yeah.
So when you say a business plan, it was all up here, right? Okay. Like I had this vision. So I thought at that point, and I didn't invent anything.
Yeah.
But when you went to a website, most people that are going to listen to this may not know what I'm talking about unless you're older.
Yeah.
When I was 16 years old and I was in high school, and so not everyone had a computer. You got computer time when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I would go to Worldwide Wheels, which is a website. Never heard of it probably, right? Like this is, we're dating myself. It's in the 90s. And I go, these pictures suck.
Yeah.
I can't see if there's scratches. Somebody could do this better, right? So to answer your question, I was like, all right, I'm going to just take really good pictures and I'm going to buy the very best car I buy. I use paint meters. I used to be made fun of. Some of the guys that are really successful in the car were like, oh, there's Ben again with his paint meter. Like I was the pocket protector. Like I would go around the whole car with a paint meter. Oh my God. I would try to buy no cars with paintwork, no scratches, no stories, the Carfax. Wow. But that was my business model, right? Like I wanted the most perfect cars. Yeah. I wanted the best reputation.
By the way, was there Carfax back then?
There was Carfax. Yeah, there was Carfax. There was actually still AutoCheck too.
Okay.
It's a lot more prominent now.
Yeah.
Yes is the answer. I would not buy a car that had any imperfections. Yeah. Guys that are, big time in the business, they'll be like, don't sell that to Ben. He's going to fucking complain about it. Yeah. But so what I did learn though, that's not a good business plan, unfortunately, right? Like because people think they want perfection, but they want perfection, but they don't want to pay for perfection. Yeah. So you have to have a happy balance, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if somebody said this to me, all cars are painted, right?
Yeah.
It's true, right? They have to be painted. So just because a bumper was repainted, does that make it a bad car? No, right? But I haven't lost one core value, transparency, period, end of story. If I know something about a car, I'll tell you. Yeah. If there's a scratch in the front bumper, I'm going to tell you there's a scratch on it. Yeah. Do I still look like for perfect cars? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But am I scared of a car that has a scratch? No, because the overall consumers, they don't, necessarily, it depends on the car again, right? Like, if it's a collector car, or if it's a Camry, right? Like it depends what they're buying. But you get it.
How did the business go, and what was the name of the company then?
So it was Midwest Motors.
Okay.
Yep.
And how long did that run for? And this was in Vola? Is that you said Vola?
So it started in Vola, Illinois.
Okay.
I moved to Lake Zurich, Illinois, which again for you doesn't make any sense, but 20 minutes away, 15 minutes away. I actually moved into a furniture store, but it was a furniture store that went out of business.
Nice.
It was 2 Italian guys that way overbuilt this building, right? Like had a birdcage style elevator, went upstairs. The problem was I realized after the fact the second floor you couldn't reinforce it to hold cars.
Yeah.
So I had driving simulators up there. I had pool tables.
I saw it. By the way, we gotta make sure we show it on camera too because it looks really cool.
It was over the top cool.
Yeah.
The problem was, I don't want to say it's a problem.
Yeah.
It just it was a lot of square footage of again, the business brain wasn't thinking that it was the how to entertain the clients. It's a lot of cost that you can't recuperate. So there was nothing I could do with that square footage.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've learned, and again, you make mistakes in business. Anyone that's watching this that thinks every business is easy, then don't even get into business. It's not easy. Yeah. My sales floor was on the second floor. So when people are coming in to browse a car, there's no one on there except a receptionist.
Oh, wow.
So it just was a bad, as far as just a suggestion for anyone that flow and the way your business is set up is uber important.
100%.
Something that people don't think about. They're like, oh, we can make this work.
Yeah.
Don't just try to make it work. Think of how it's set up and how a customer will flow through your building.
100%.
So from that perspective, it just didn't work. Like we actually talked yesterday at dinner, right? I had a service department. Yeah. My service department was not in my building with me. And so it's really hard to manage something that you're not in, right? So again, trial and error, I learned. Did I have some great successful years? Absolutely. Yeah. Did I learn a lot of stuff?
How big was the team?
It was big.
And roughly, what kind of monthly, how many cars were coming in?
We were doing a big business. Okay. Big business. Okay. Like 40, 50 plus million, maybe more. It was a big business. Yeah. But it had huge overhead, right? Yeah. So overhead will crush a business. We all know that too. Yeah. And like I said, the service thing not being there. Look, I have no regrets. Yeah. I learned a lot. I transformed into another business after that called Dealer Services. Okay. I helped represent. There's so much fraud, man, that goes into the car business.
Yeah, I know you're telling me.
And not even fraud. There's consumer fraud we can talk about a little bit later, but there's fraud just from used car managers and car dealerships.
100%.
Right?
Like embezzling money.
Embezzling money. There's the big one though, and not to anyone specifically, used car managers tend to sell to the wholesalers they want to sell to. If they're allowed to. It's changed quite a bit. But when I was in that dealer, they sell to their wholesalers. Yeah. They don't send the cars to the auction. They don't put enough money in the trades. They help their buddies out.
And that happened to you when you were
not in my dealership, but it's stuff that I caught when I was doing dealer services. Again, well, it's in the past, but it was another great experience. It was probably one of the hard jobs I had because you were basically, excuse my terminology, you're the jackass, right? You're the guy that goes into a car dealership. Yeah. You act as a pseudo used car director. Yeah. You tell them where they're losing their money. The used car manager hates your ass because you're like, fuck him. He's causing me to not make the money I want or take losses. Yeah. But what I was doing is I was teaching about turns, right? Yeah. If you keep a car in inventory too long, at some point it expires, right? Yeah. Like it's a weird statement, but it expires because A, it's been marketed forever. Yeah. B, you've got floor plan costs. And if people don't know that are listening with floor plan, that's the interest you pay for the car to sit on your showroom, right? It's expensive. Yeah. So, and especially today. So everything that I ingrained in myself and other people that I try to help is so important today because interest rates used to be 3-4%. Today we're talking 8, 10, 12, depending on what your floor plan rate is. It's expensive. So that's what I was doing. I was helping used car managers. I was trying to educate, teach, but furthermore, is bring cars to the auction and put them in a specific order. Yeah. So that way they all the BMWs were together, all the Mercedes were together, all the Chevys were together. So you bring the like buyers together and to clean the lane up. So where it's not like here's a Ford for 20 grand, here's a BMW for 80 grand. Because it's just like a confused, it's like kind of like taking and just throwing things out like a lawn sale. Like if you want to sell something, doesn't matter if it's wholesale or retail, put your best foot forward, clean the car up, put the options on it, put a good description, tell the consumer, you tell the buyer, which at that point was other dealers, hey, be honest. Tell them it's got a bad car, it's a blemish. Right. So they don't feel duped later and then they don't come back in your lane and buy a car again. Does that make sense?
So when did you get bigger in the auction? So in Chicago too that you were?
Yeah, so Dealer Services. So I won't name, I represented some pretty large outfits, worked with Manheim Auto Auctions quite a bit. I did a stint with Canadian Cars. I was in Flint, Michigan. At that point
were you running the cars through your own lane or you were basically helping the dealers fix their lanes or whatever?
No, so I was a Dealer Services lane. Okay. So it was my company. Yeah. It was their cars and I was making a fee to do it, right? Okay. So it was a flat fee, but I was, again, numbers don't lie. Yeah. They may not like what they see, but I was faring anywhere between 2 to 3%, which 2 to 3% in wholesale, something was 1.5. but 2% pretty much consistently higher than they were getting. Now, dealer owners, principals, sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't, but we were just doing a better job because it's not rocket science, man. It was just literally putting the cars in the right order, cleaning them up, cleaning up the CRs, right? Like condition reports. Again, more dealers will understand condition reports, but they can make or break your car, right? And now Manheim's done something more recently. When I say more recently, over the past 4 or 5 years, it's called adjusted MMR. So it's based on your condition report.
By the way, a lot of dealers don't even know about adjusted CRs.
Is that crazy?
In MMR.
Is that crazy?
Yeah. Can you explain that a little bit? Because I feel like that's like not a hidden gem, but like it'll help you.
Or we're telling trade secrets now. Is that what we're doing here?
Why not?
No, it's true, right? Yeah. So it's funny. A dealer will pull up. I'm going to use another software that's pretty popular. It's called vAuto.
Yeah.
They'll stick it in their vAuto software. They'll scan the barcode, and they'll look at two things. They'll look, where am I at in the retail market? So they'll go high to low, and they'll be like, okay, this is where I have to pay for the car.
Yeah.
But they don't take it granularly out and go, what is the equipment? What are the options? They just kind of blanket with this whole mess. So that's a number one mistake I see a lot. But number two is they go to MMR and they just put an MMR, and they assume whatever MMR is what the value is that they're going to get. And they don't take a couple things into account. One is the fee that the auction charges. And I hate to call out any auctions right now. Their fees are absurd. You said, I've been doing this since 08 or around. The fees today are probably double what they were in 08. Maybe triple. It's absurd. But so they're not taking that into consideration. But the biggest thing is they're not taking into that adjusted MMR. So it's based off the condition report, right? It's a scale of 0 to 5. And a wheel blemish, meaning a scratch on a wheel, which a dealer can get fixed for $50, $75, can take 0.2 of a point, right? So going back, they give a value, right? So we'll use a very simple car, Toyota Camry, 2020. It's 18 grand, right? Just making up the number. These are all fictitious numbers. So they go, okay, it's worth 18 grand. But they didn't take into account that all the cars that went through are a 3.2 CR, and they have a 4.5. So they're not putting enough money in the trade. So the customer goes, "Now, fuck you. I'm going to go to the other dealer and see if they get any more," and they lose the sale because they didn't put enough money because they didn't understand what adjusted MMR is, and they're not looking at transactions. Every car stands on its own. And it sounds like they're not all the same. Now you can say they're all Camrys, they're all white, but you need to really go a little bit more granular and look at it and really put the right value.
And you did that yesterday, by the way. I kind of learned when you were showing Jason, you were like, hey, well, this is what you think the CR, but actually with this kind of damage, this is the actual CR.
It's crazy. So structural damage, that's what we were talking about yesterday. It cannot go above a 2.9. A lot of guys don't know that. MMR, you can say, and a lot of dealers, they don't even know how to look for structural. And you don't have to be a body guy. You don't have to know about A pillars, B pillars, C pillars. But what you do need to know is that if there's Bondo in the rear quarter of the car, it's likely frame damage. So assess it as much and do not put it as a 3.8 and assume that's your value. You now have a 2.9 at best. And then you take the 2.9 and then you subtract the 2 points for the wheel in each wheel. And if you have 4 wheels, that's 0.8 of a point. So now you have a 2.1 CR, right? It's not hard, but they don't get that.
The cool thing about this, so I know we're talking on the dealer side, but even on the consumer side, because now you have customers that be like, hey, well, I know MMR is this, but they also don't understand MMR. Like we talked about transparency earlier. Sometimes they're like, well, okay, you're telling me 20, but MMR is 23. But being transparent and showing them, hey, well, look, this is how CR works. This is what's actually going on.
I love you said that. I hear it. I've heard it in dealer meetings. I've heard it at auctions. It's bullshit. Consumers are getting access to MMR. It's bullshit. I go, why do you care? Why do you care? If you're transparent, like I have people call me up, well, MMR is X in your car. I go, that's great. Well, first of all, I have to eat, right? Like I have 2 kids. I have to feed them. So I don't work for free. We talked about it. You forgot about the transaction costs. I have to ship it. I have to detail it. I have to bring it in. They don't think of that. But guess what? You don't have to get angry about it. Explain that. You're right. MMR is 20 grand. If we're going to go back to our Camry just for argument's sake. But I have to ship it in from wherever. I had to pay the auction fee. So again, no, it is interesting because the consumers think, we've got MMR. I know now what the dealer's tricks are. There's no tricks to the trade. This is not a complicated business. People overcomplicate it all the time. It's not complicated. It's just do good business and that's it, man. That's it. So
100%. Okay, so now let's talk about transition. I know we started the podcast with, by the way, it's not a podcast, it's just a show, getting to know Ben. We talked about how'd you end up in Florida, but can we talk about the transition? Because we talked about the dealership, dealer services, remarketing. And then now we're Florida. Florida also, you're one of the largest wholesalers here in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
And that's actually, by the way, a lot of going from dealer to like vehicle acquisition. It's like a completely different,
Yeah, no, great. Look, I don't mind. So during COVID,
if COVID, you were still in Chicago?
No. So, COVID's what got me here permanently, right? Like I was like, look, I didn't know I had seasonal blues. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But I was like, it is gray all winter long in Chicago. And, how can you not love being in the sun and the warm weather of Florida? But
by the way, why not California? Was that ever
can I say it honestly on this? It's just not my cup of tea. Okay. I think I said that the most correct way I possibly can. The typical, not I don't want to branch everyone. I live 3 miles from Mar-a-Lago. I'm kidding with you. No, here, why not? Honestly, I just didn't have an opportunity to go to California. If that's the real answer.
Could you talk to me about? Remember, we talked about some of the biggest auctions, and you said Riverside, right?
Yeah, so Riverside. But
was that ever an option? Like, hey, man, why don't I go out there? Or why don't I go?
Here, I love the hotel, and I wish I could say it to there was a hotel I used to stay at that they used to put you up where it was the coolest hotel.
Yeah.
Don't remember the name. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I hated the traffic. I hated the stupidity of trying to navigate through the airport. And I probably hated the fact that it was a 5-hour flight versus a 2.5-hour flight. It's just, it's economics of the situation.
I will say now, being in California for 32 years, I've gone to many different places. This is going to sound corny, but when people say like, oh, the weather's great there, the weather's actually, like in Florida, like we're here, we came on Sunday, it rained yesterday.
Yeah.
Today it's warmer, but it's also like kind of the humidity, heat.
I don't feel the humidity anymore.
Yeah.
But I hear
it's the weather. Like I know it's like before I was like I'll never say like I like California because of the weather. The weather's actually really nice there.
It is. Like I got a buddy. I've never lived there that lives in San Francisco.
Yeah.
My problem, and again, you're at a different spot.
Yeah.
I think the one thing about weather when it comes to California was you don't know what to wear. Like in the morning you wake up, you got to put a fucking coat on, and in the afternoon I want to put my bathing suit on. Like I just don't. I can't prepare for the day.
Yeah.
Here I know it's going to be fucking hot.
Yeah.
It's going to be humid.
Yeah.
I'm either going to wear shorts or a light pair of pants, and that's it. Like I maybe that. Like it rarely gets cold here. And it doesn't get like to where it doesn't get like over the top hot. Like it's not like it's humid, right? So, but it gets in the 90s. It's not going to get over 100 like you get in some parts. I don't know. I just fell in love with the air.
Do you miss Chicago at all? Do you ever
miss the food? I miss the food.
Okay.
The food sucks here.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I just, I miss, my son called me out and showed you pictures when I was heavier.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the best thing that happened to my body is going to Florida. I sweat out all my fat and I eat healthy. I don't know.
I think we should just, let's go on a tangent a little bit because you did make a very, I would say large transformation.
Okay.
I saw a picture of you online.
Yeah.
You literally look like two different people. Was there something that happened, or you're like, yo, dude, I'm just take my health more seriously?
No, I think what caused me to,
and we're gonna do a side by side.
Yeah, great, thanks. Great. Like so everyone could be like, look, no, here I had kids, right? And the last thing I wanted to do is not be there for my kids. But it wasn't even that. It was more like when I went to get my son out of the crib, and I'm like, oh, I'm out of shape. Like it's like this is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I still remember. This is actually, I can't believe I remember the story. How I got, I'll tell you the transformation.
Okay.
I was coming back, I think it was from Watkins Glen, but I could be wrong, doing a race.
Okay.
So I was doing GT4 club racing.
Okay.
And I got on the airplane and I'm sitting, I was fortunate because I flew a lot, going to the auctions, I got upgraded to first class. And there's this 80-year-old man sitting next to me.
Yeah.
And he was the nicest guy. We're having a great conversation, just real subtle conversation, nothing intense. And then he finally looks over to me and goes, so you race cars? And remember, he's this nice guy. He goes, you look like shit.
Wow.
And I go, what? He goes, yeah, you got to do something.
Yeah.
And he actually was the owner of a gym in Palatine, Illinois, which was close enough to my home. And he goes, I'm going to get you a free personal trainer for a while, and I'll get you into my gym for free. You need to do something about the way you look.
Wow.
And I don't know what it was. I just, maybe I forgot what PE class was. Maybe I forgot what a gym was. I was like, dude, I like this. I burned off steam. I have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And I adhere to it. And I still remember the first trainer. His name was Adrian.
Yeah.
And he kicked my ass.
Wow.
I mean, he gave me, I remember this. I'm laughing because my son and I were at the gym yesterday. I'm trying to get my son in shape, right? Yeah. And so the stair machine. I still remember Adrian. My feet, they're too big. They don't fit in a stair machine. He goes, shut the fuck up. Like you can do. But I remember like making excuses. Like that's what we do, right? Like you go to do. I couldn't do a push-up. Dude, I couldn't do a push-up. No, I couldn't do a push-up.
What age was this?
Probably 23, 24, 25. I don't remember the exact age, but Maybe a tad older. I was like, I could do a push-up. Like I could do it, but it was like it was intense.
By the way, did you play sports at all growing up?
No,
Because by the way, you look like a football player.
people tell me that if any, I throw a football like a girl, so don't ask me to throw a football. I can call. I'm good at making myself. No, we're not doing that for the. Thank God I've got people helping me with it. I just my poor kid wants to do football, and I don't want to be his coach. He'll be laughed at. No, so playing sports, I did cross country. I played some soccer.
Okay.
I got into martial arts.
Okay.
So I did that. Later in life, I've done a boxing, amateur stuff, nothing crazy. Funny stories. I had a boxing coach out here. He's great. It's he transitioned he's from Colombia. Yeah. He transferred. He did boxing growing up, and then he did MMA, and he's a great MMA fighter. But we went to a boxing gym out here because I'm like, I really want to fight. Boxing's interesting. It's a really good workout. Yeah. And some people have it, some people don't, right? Yeah. Some people can take the punch, and it's nothing about being masculine or whatever. It's just, honestly, it's probably not smart to get hit, right? Like you get brain damage and shit like that. But some people have it. And some people, when they get hit, they cover and they don't want it anymore. And then some people are aggressors and they go back. Yeah. I found out I'm an aggressor. I will go back. Like I like that excitement to get hit.
You're sick in the head.
Yep, sick of that, right? But what's funny was, because he said I got bigger, so the guy that my boxing coach, not that he's small, he's just not a big dude. He's 180 type, type guy. And so he kicked my ass, by the way. I don't want to make any stories here. Like, he's watching this. Look, I don't want another fight. We're good. And he still makes fun of me because they made me put headgear on. He didn't have headgear, but he's a pro. But the idea was I wasn't supposed to fight him, right? I was supposed to go fight somebody else in my weight class. Yeah. No one wanted to fight me because I just looked at me. They're like, no, we're not. No, fuck that guy. It was funny. Like, they didn't even know. It was like so amateur. Wow. But I got in there and he kicked my ass. But, I held my own. I was all right. But, I went on my tangents. But, so I did some boxing. But, again, it was here. I didn't do much sports. Yeah. I drink too much beer. I got the beer belly. I did
How do you feel now, though, compared to back then? Because you made that huge transformation. Do you feel like physically you feel different, or like mentally, like, yo, dude, I'm getting.
I think all of it, right? All of it, right? So when you are physically fit, it transforms a lot of different things in your body. Believe it or not, I had more energy, probably fatter, and that sounds really fucked up to say, but I didn't know where to harness my energy. So like, you do not want to hang out with me if I don't go to the gym, if I don't exert some energy out, right? 100%. Like you saw me last night. Like I still had energy all day long. You're like, does this guy die? I do. Yeah. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. Yeah. I go to bed earlier than most, like 8:30, boom. And I could pass out, and as I'm hitting the pill, boom, out. I'm one of those guys. But no, so yes, it controls my energy a little better. Your overall well-being, right? Like I feel
How do you
better.
feel like it affects business? Because there's a lot of CEOs that are like, they put money before everything else, right? So you can see it sometimes. And by the way, I know your net worth. There's billion, very wealthy people, and some of them are just sick and miserable.
Agreed. You know what? Here, they say money doesn't buy you happiness. I would disagree. Money can give you happiness, but the reality is that the first most things that are important is, and again, I sound like just everyone else, but there's truth there, right? Like, take care of your family. Yeah. Take care of yourself. Yeah. Make sure you're there for your family. Yeah. You could have all the money you want, like no disrespect. And I don't know him, didn't know him, but like Steve Jobs, right? Like he worked his ass off. Yeah. It sounds like he lived with some people, but he died at a young age. He didn't take care of it. And again, some of it was not he just happened to get these diseases, but you don't know when you're going to go, right? Sure. Like, so at least do what you can to maintain yourself, take care of yourself. Cause I have kids that, they're the most important thing to me, right? Like I need to make sure my kids are okay. Yeah. So that's what I could say. Bob Hollinshead, okay, the guy's like the fucking godfather of the auto industry, wholesale world. He started Wholesale. I'm thinking in the 70s. I don't know. Yeah. I used to watch this guy and I go, he's nuts. Yeah. But I go to Manheim, Pennsylvania, like every 2 weeks for Highline, and he had sold more cars, and he would yell, "If you don't like it, I'll take it back." What people don't know, and some people, he invented so much software, like the Kelley Blue Book traded software. He sold that to Cox Automotive. Yeah. He sold AccuTrade, which is a product that but I learned about AccuTrade. It's funny, I didn't learn it through him. I learned it through that stint I had with this small company. I was like, holy shit. Yeah. It's a joke around the office, and I say MMR is the past, AccuTrade's the future. And there's some truth to that, right? Like there's also taking your own brain, but MMR really is the past, right? It's what happened yesterday or the week before or the once before, right? Yeah. And if you look at AccuTrade, they're trying to be predicting. They're trying to say this is what's going to. Now, no one has a crystal ball. If you take that and say exactly to what AccuTrade said, it's not going to be right. Yeah. But again, so I learned this software, had this stint, and I said, look, being a used car company, period, unless you've made your name, unless you have a niche, and unless you've been doing it for a long time and you have tons of capital, it is so hard to be successful. And everyone has an idea of what wealth is and how much they may make. But I didn't see an opportunity being in the used car business to be able to make enough money to provide for my family. But I said, you know what? Especially with what I told you, how buying a car at the auctions is, and again, first base is buying it from a dealership. What car dealer, new car franchise stores, how they should be feeding their lot is by getting it from the consumer right off the floor. But a used car dealership can do that as well, right? Like, and that's where I started thinking. And I was like, look, you're taking these cars, right? Like we use the Camry. I'll just keep bringing up the same car. You go to a Toyota dealership, the guy tries to trade in a 2020 Camry, and they go, we'll give you 17 grand for it. And he goes, and they come to me, and I might give 20. Now that's a pretty big disparity. Let's say I'll give 18. It's $1,000 more, just for argument's sake. That same Toyota dealership will go back to the auction, buy it out of my lane that I purchased for, and pay me 19 or 19.5.
Why is that?
It's a great question. Because people are stuck in their own ways. Everyone thinks they're smarter than each other. I don't know. It's egos. I really just don't know. But what's interesting, I'll take that car. They pay 19. And why is it? Maybe they see they think it's worth more because the other Toyota dealership 30 miles down there. I couldn't tell you.
Do you feel like they're trying to I feel like now you can't steal a car. Like, for instance, this is also why the auto industry has a bad rep to it, because there's a lot of bait and switch, or people will just take advantage of people. But I feel like there's dealers that still think they can do that, and now that's why they have to rely on the auction, because people don't want to sell them the cars.
Hassan, I think unfortunately, I think it's a larger percentage. I think that people think they can talk their way through a transaction to be able to steal it from the general public. And you just, like you said, there's too much transparency. There's every website in the world tells you what it's about. There's forms. So I don't. Why is a great question, but they do it. So until they stop doing that, I have a business opportunity. So I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity that I have that I've been given. I don't know. You know,
one thing I will say, which is kind of cool about this whole thing, is you went somewhere else to learn, right? And when we talk about dealers kind of like humbling themselves, because I work with a lot of dealers across the nation, some of them, they're like, I just know more than you. That's it. And I'm like, well, how are you? Like, we're going to stay in this archaic mode. Like, either this is not ever going to work for you, or you're going to go out of business, right? Why were you able to be like, hey, you know what? I'm actually going to go work for somebody else and learn? Because a lot of dealers would not ever do that. Or if they get hired, they're just hey, I'm smarter than you already.
Maybe because
I know it's a little deep question.
No, it's interesting, right? Some people are really smart, right? They have 100 IQ, 160 IQ, not 100 IQ, but I'm probably the 100 IQ guy. Some people, it's a great question. It's a deep question. Here, you always should learn, right? You always need to be learning. No, there is, even the smartest person in the world is learning new things, right? It's common sense, right? I couldn't answer why people don't, other than like, it's funny, my brother, right? I don't talk to him very much. We're not super close. He's that 160 IQ, super smart guy. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I've just always been a hustler, right? Where I find success is my drive. And if I'm not always learning new things, I never think I'm the smartest guy in the world. I never walk in and say I'm smarter than somebody. Maybe it's just my mindset, right? Like, everyone has a different mindset of how they approach things.
But that's not common for a dealer.
You're right. Well, here, unfortunately, today's world, right? Like, a lot of it is second generation car guys. So they're like, we're quote unquote lucky sperm kids that got handed a car dealership, that think they're infallible, that they have this nest egg. But every tower, everything can crumble if you're not always learning, right? You're right. It is A-type personality, driven people, but I know best and I'm not going to learn anything. And then maybe I just take a different approach. I don't walk into a room and go, I'm smarter than anyone. I never take that approach. I walk into a room and go, this sounds shitty. And maybe I'm more of an asshole. I go, how can I learn something from somebody in this room so I can better myself? Right. So I'm self-serving, right? Like, I would love to learn something, but at the same time, treat people how you want to be respected. Like, if I learn something from you, like, Hassan, how did I meet you? Like, not that, I met you through an advertising and we just jive. Like, you're.
And by the way, we go back and forth with each other. Sometimes and you'll be like, I was like, "All right, let me just push this a little bit more." And you're like,
Yeah.
"All right, fine. Let's all right."
You hear, I love to push it.
Yeah.
You know that about
Yeah.
me, but you also have to find a happy medium,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's very important. Finding a space where both people can operate,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But yeah, that's it in short.
Yeah, yeah. So I think with that, like you learn acquisition.
Yep.
Did you have like a aha where you're like, dude, I can do acquisition? Because a lot of people they can't transition from, buying and selling to acquisition, feeding the auction, and now dealers are, relying on you for cars.
Yeah, there's always aha moments. I have them daily. Like I'm like, oh wow, I didn't realize that. Yes, there's always aha moments. But was there this epiphany like this
Yeah.
is what I'm going to do? Yeah.
Okay.
At one point, where I was like, huh.
This is during COVID still, or is it 2020?
During COVID, like where it's like, huh. I didn't realize that like I'm working on this X margin that I can get that same margin selling the car wholesale. It's again going back to dissecting the car, going okay. If you buy the right BMW M3 with the competition package, with the right wheels,
Yeah.
with the right carbon fiber package, it's going to bring far more than what MMR says. So there's this like gray area where you have to use intuition, and there's margin there. You can pick up $3,000, $4,000 in a wholesale transaction. That was the aha moment. We're like, whoa.
Yeah.
You can make more than losing money.
Yeah.
Like you don't just lose money. I didn't know that, right? Like let's reverse this. When I had my dealership in Illinois, I sent cars to the auction to. Remember, they've been on my showroom floor forever. I'm paying interest. They're not selling, whatever. I bring them there to get rid of the asset, to turn my money. Yeah. And I was like, oh, great. I only lost $3,000 on that car, or I only lost $2,000. I never was like, oh, shit, I could take cars to the auction and turn a profit, and a serious profit, right? Yeah. Again, same when I was helping dealers, right? I was helping them get out of an asset that might have been in inventory for 170 days. They shouldn't have been in inventory. So they were losing. I was like, holy shit. I could buy this car, and if I buy the right ones, there's always these little holes and these little spots within the car business where you can make margin, right? 100%. And so it's really cool. I was like, I want to do this. Yeah. And nothing against this. Like, I still love talking cars with real car people. Yeah. I don't want to say I'm burnt out, but the consumer side, it's exhausting, right?
100%.
I love the fast pace.
Yeah.
I am not going to be, and it's not because it's beneath me. It's just not my DNA anymore, where I could sit and pencil a deal and do 4 squares and push a deal and go, let me go talk to my manager. Or even if I am the manager, like you want to buy it? Boom, boom, boom. And I like, you're going to sell my car? Boom. I just need that. And that's what drives me, is that fast paced business. And that's what I'm like, this works for me. Nice. I need something that moves quickly.
So where did Cash Now, when did it start? Did it start here in Florida?
It did. So it started, I think, in 2021.
Okay. And tell me the idea behind it.
So it literally was just a Cash Now auto. Like, it's as simple that. Like, it will give you cash now for your auto. Yeah. And I used the AccuTrade tool to, feed my website, to give me values, to help me out with it. And it was literally that. So I first started, I hired a marketing company out of Boca, which is a city over from here. Okay. And I paid them, I don't want to tell you a sign because you'll raise your fees on me. I paid them this absorbent amount of money. They came up with this artwork and stuff, and I think they got me like 7 leads to my website. I was like, oh sweet, I got 7 leads. Yeah. Fuck, I'm gonna lose my ass. I'm not gonna make it. Yeah. So I do have to give him a lot of credit. There's this guy named David. Okay. Met him through he's a Chicago native guy. We grew up in a very similar city. My kids did jiu-jitsu with him. And he's like, I can help you. I'm like, all right, here's another guy that's gonna help me. Yeah. And he actually, but he at least showed me that Google campaigns, you could actually make money, and that there's acquisition. And then I did Kelley Blue Book Trading Center. Yeah. I have my differences with the product. I mean, I think it's it has its place, the Kelley Blue Book, but it's watered down. It's oversold. Yeah. It's they're running on the name Kelley Blue Book. If you really want to do it for yourself, you got to build your brand, right? Like that's what makes you successful. Yeah. But so this gentleman from Boca that when my kids did jiu-jitsu, I was like, holy shit, this guy got me 300 leads. Yeah. It's a lot better than the 7. And I'm like, now I have 500 leads and 800. I was like, whatever the numbers were. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit. And it was during the COVID era. It was a little bit. Here's the only thing. If you say regrets, I wish I started sooner, man. Like I lost out so much money because you ever go, timing is everything. 100%. No one knew COVID was going to happen, but I was like, if I had the recipes and everything I have right now.
Like 10 months before.
10 months, man. 10 months. We're going to see $1 million in my car. Yeah. I really, truly believe that.
100%.
It takes capital, and I'm very blessed to have a bank or a partnership of that I have funding that helps my business out. And then I was very fortunate to meet that David. And shout out to you, man. Yeah. You just, the difference between you and David. Yeah. Again, nothing. you're a car guy, right? Like, you know the car business.
Yeah.
So it's really tough to talk to a marketing company and say, do this. And they're like, huh? What? Why?
Yeah.
You get it, right? Like, you understand the differences and what goes on in the car business. So it was really cool. It was just, it's stepping stones, right? You got to take these stepping stones to get to, and we're still stepping, right? Like, 100%. We're still learning things together and we're trying different stuff.
So tell me this, because I know a lot of dealers, they cannot, to save their life, they can't buy private party cars. And all you guys do is buy private party cars.
Right, yeah.
What's the difference? Or like, are the conversations different? Or, because it's just different, you know?
You know, I think I've said this is kind of in my theme.
Yeah.
It's laziness. I hate to say it. It's just like complacency. It's something different. And you said you're willing to learn. Yeah. They're just not willing to learn it. Yeah. Or people love to paint obstacles. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to do it because what if they're checking, what this and that. You can't make obstacles. You just got to do it. And then when those obstacles come in play, you got to, okay, here, look, it's not hard, but there's stuff, there's fraud out there, there's bad things, but it works in reverse too, right? Yeah. So not that you have to scare a consumer, but you have to remember, we just said the margins are pretty tight, right? Yeah. So if you're talking to most people, right, the difference between 15 grand and 13.5, it's $1,500. Like, so no one thinks I'm stupid. I got the math. But to give insurance to a consumer that I'm giving you 13.5 and this check is a good check and you're going to deposit it and you're never going to have a person come to your house. Yeah. They're not going to test drive it. They're not going to hit on your daughter. They're not going to, you know what I mean? Yeah. We're going to buy your car. You're going to be gone and you get your money. There's some value, a lot of value in speed, efficiency, which is the same thing in some sense. And, time is money. So if you can sell that but you can't just go, okay, I'm going to try it up. Yeah. And no disrespect, again, you can't pick up the phone and go through Auto Trader leads. That's not buying from consumer. Yeah. It was for a while. People would go to Craigslist. Yeah. You're weeding out too much. So what we do and how we do business together and how I spend money on Google, we're reaching real consumers that want to sell real cars. 100%. And then it's filling the gap, right? You have an asset to, like, here, I can't win them all, right?
100%.
But I got to call them. 100%. We got to try, right? 100%. And it's just be real. Like, here, it was a Chevy Colorado. 24 Chevy Colorado. Guy calls, right? Yeah. The system offering 40 grand. Hey, frankly, it wasn't your software. It's Kelly Blue Book, so we'll blame them again. Yes. Gave him 40 grand for this car. The window sticker, the MSRP was $45,000. Yeah. Mr. Customer, I want to help you out. I have no problem working with you. You want over 40 grand. You don't. He wouldn't give us a number, but let's say you wanted 41 even for argument's sake. Yeah. That's $4 grand from what it was new. Yeah. I can't make money. Just be transparent. So move on. But don't let that ruin my whole day. Like, don't let that be like, oh, I just can't buy cars from consumers because one guy wouldn't sell me a car for the right money. And I think that's...
When we built our business, we were buying cars off Craigslist. Literally, there wasn't no, like, forget about ads. We were buying like 10, myself, I was buying 10 to 15 cars off Craigslist, private party. So when people are like, oh, well, dude, private party cars, they want too much money for your car. I think they just suck at being a salesperson. Like, you just got to make offers. Like, I think they're either afraid of the rejection. Like, I used to hit up 100 leads a day, 3K behind book, and I would just wait till people respond. Or if something was fire, I'd start calling right away.
I think, you know what? You just taught me something just now, just thinking out loud, right? I think, because I have the hardest thing. Like, I love the staff I have, but I need to grow my staff, right? Like, if anyone is listening that thinks they have the act, I'm with. But I think I got to get the guy that struggled dating and got a lot of rejection. Maybe that's the guy that should come in and be an acquisition person, right? Like,
but he should be good.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's gotten so much rejection. He's like, no, maybe that's it. Maybe I've had rejection in my life, and that's why I'm good at what I do. No, man. Like, life is about rejection, right? Like, I don't want to disrespect any new business models, but like, let's be honest. What's happening to the car business, right? Yeah. It's no longer a single point store, single point store. Yeah. They are now huge corporations. People probably don't realize that they're traded on the New York Stock Exchange. AutoNation, Sonic, these are big corporations that there's no longer really salesmen. They call themselves salesmen, but they're hourly rate. Nothing against it, but they're not selling you anything. They're order takers, right? So if you're trying to put an order taker or a person like that to go acquire cars, good luck. Like, it's
100%.
It takes just being nice, like being respectful, call them back when they say, having follow-up, right? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. You can't call once and be like, well, I left a message and I'm...
Did you ever buy cars off like Craigslist or anything like that?
So it's funny. And again, it sometimes takes sitting down and like thinking, I actually used to do a bunch of private party acquisition. So I can't lie to the people listening. When I had my business, when I was in Volo, I didn't have the time.
Yeah.
But when I was in Volo, I went to the auction.
Yeah.
But I bought a ton of private party cars. I still remember I bought why I'm thinking this now.
Yeah.
My best margins were always private party purchases. Wow. But better than that, there were cars I could tell a better story to, right?
Yeah.
Because I can remember the guy that bought it. Like, I'll give you a story of a car that I just sold recently. Again, I don't do a lot of retail. I have retail abilities here. We do some retail. Yeah. But I had a Saturn Sky, right? Yeah. And it's not what I normally sell. If you have you can see I've got really expensive cars here. But the Sonic Sky had like 6,000 or 7,000 miles on it, right? Mm-hmm. But the guy that came out of the car had the Saturn head on. He had a Saturn coat. And he was so proud. Like, but I learned all about the car and how he changed the different, So I was able to sell the car better because of that relationship I had with the original owner. So that's just something else.
And also like transparency-wise, so a cool shift that we did in our business, this was pre-COVID where and I think this, by the way, everything I'm saying about the auto industry, I'm only saying this because I want it to be better. I'm in the space. I want it to grow. I want the people to grow. So like when we used to buy private party cars, we would say, it's sad to say this, but like we would make up stories of why we don't buy the car. Oh, it's for my wife. Oh, I have a kid on the way. Or like, I have to go to school. Whatever.
Absolutely.
You give them this pity story. And I remember speaking to the owners and I was like, hey, look, guys, if we go with the truth, it's going to be a difficult adjustment in the beginning, but we're going to make more money. And the way we make our money is more important than how much we make. And they were like, And I was like, dude, please, let's just try it. Let's just try it. And I remember like we started calling and it was like, we are a car buying service. Yeah. And I found out when we led it with the truth, all they actually cared about is at the end of the day, they're like, dude, I just want to make sure your money's good. We want to get paid. That's it.
That's it.
And I think now, like if you're still doing that, making up stories to buy cars as a dealer, dude, just stop. They don't need that anymore.
Stop.
It's
You're 100% right.
And I feel like that's made a big change. And now like going back to transparency, it makes it easier to buy cars and it makes the industry better.
You said something that's interesting where you want to make the car better. I agree with you. I want to do the same. And again, I just don't want to see the business lost to the 500-pound gorillas, right? Like there's still a place for all of us. Yeah. But like you said, be transparent. Yeah. And just be honest. I am calling from a vehicle acquisition person. I'm going to make this simple, easy. It's not hard. You don't have to make. It's funny you said the stories I've heard are just hilarious.
By the way, so tell me now where Cash Now fits in, because look, as a somebody who owns a car, right? There's people here that maybe from Palm Beach are watching this. Why go to Cash Now instead of there's CarMax, there's Carvana, which is fully virtual, right? Or they can go to their like neighboring dealer, or maybe they bought the car from that same dealership. Why instead go to an acquisition company? What makes you guys different?
Well, they're acquisition companies in their own right too. One is we're locally owned, right? Like, so, again, if you care about doing business locally, maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'm here. I spend my money in the city. I have 2 kids that I feed, and maybe your kids go to school with my kids, whatever it might be. But why? Because we're going to give that personal touch, right? You can go to CarMax and sit there and be given a cone or a number, and they'll call your number and appraise your car. Yeah. Again, we talk about time. They're going to spend an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Maybe it's a 3-hour if they're busy on a Saturday. You should, if my guys are doing it right. And if they're not, I want to know about it. But you should be able to get in and out of here in 15 minutes. It's really, we don't make it difficult. Yeah. We look over your car. We confirm the condition you put. Yeah. But even further, like, we'll come to you, man. Like, we want that white glove concierge service. Yeah. We just want to go take, I guess the best way to put it is we want to take car buying, a buying company, to that next level. We don't want to just, be the 500-pound gorilla. We want to care about the transaction. We want to make sure you're taken care of. We want to give you good car advice. Maybe you're selling us your car, right? Yeah. And you're going to go replace it and you need some help buying your next car. We don't have to sell you your next car. We'll give you some.
Let me give you the opposite side, right? So I want to sell my car, but the one thing I'm scared about is bait and switch. That's like the thing. Everyone's like, okay, they're going to give me an offer over the phone, and then when I come there, they're going to appraise the car and then give me a new offer. Yeah. What can you tell us the truth?
Yeah. No. Well, here.
And also, why does that happen? And does that happen with you guys?
I'll tell you flat out. Yeah. There's no secrets. There's no secret recipe. Yeah. Be transparent with us, and we're transparent with you. I'll say it again. Be transparent with us. We'll be and all it is like, if we ask you, we'll do a FaceTime video with you. Yeah. So we'll walk around the car. If there's a wheel scuff, tell us. Yeah. Now, we understand they're used cars. We're not going to ding you for a tiny little thing. That's not what we're trying to do. We're looking for substantial things that will change the value. So when you look at your car and the front bumper's hanging off the car, tell us that. Yeah. But if you come in and the car is what you say it is, and again, we're not here. That's not how I train my people. That's not how I do business.
Yeah.
We're not having you come in to give you a lesser offer. That's
Yeah.
not our mindset.
Yeah.
We almost would love to print the check and have it waiting for you to come grab your check.
Yeah.
Just be transparent.
Yeah.
If there's something that we need to know about,
Yeah.
remember, we're gonna adjust it based on wholesale.
Yeah.
We're not gonna adjust it based on a retail amount.
Yeah.
We understand what business we're in,
Yeah.
but we're gonna adjust it accordingly.
Yeah. So I know you guys say we pay more than the max, right?
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
a bunch of acquisition companies, and why is it that someone can go to somewhere down the street, but then you guys could legit actually pay more? And by the way, I'm not making this up because before we took you guys on, I went and read all the Google reviews.
Yeah.
A lot of dealers are like, oh yeah, we're really good, we do this. And then you look at the reviews, they're like, hey, this guy's a scumbag, don't ever go there.
Yeah.
That's not like that for you guys.
So that wasn't ours, right?
That was not you guys. That was not you guys. But why can you guys pay more than maybe someone down the street?
Well, it's simply, it's overhead, right?
Yeah.
Like my overhead may be lower than theirs, right?
Yeah.
Now that's number one.
Yeah.
But number two is our philosophy and how we're trying to build the business, right?
Yeah.
You don't build a business in a day, right? You don't build a business by, I say it and I probably say it too often, but I mean it. Business is not it's not a sprint to the finish.
Yeah.
It's a marathon, right? So if I can start acquiring these vehicles, I can start earning business.
Yeah.
Earning is a key word. Earning the business. I can start building my reputable business.
Yeah.
And I just told you what I do a lot with the cars.
Yeah.
I could build my lanes up bigger at the auction.
Yeah.
And the bigger volume I have, right, the less I have to make, and I can spread that amongst more cars.
100%.
So that's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. We're not trying to kill you.
And by the way,
right?
not only I know I brought up price, but like there are times where you'll buy the car for the same price as somebody else, but you guys are just offering a better service.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, we say it and we'll still do it.
Yeah.
Bring us a written CarMax offer.
Yeah.
And I'll give you, if I can't beat it, I'm going to give you a $100 bill.
Yeah.
But we're also not going to waste your time and have you come in here and just, we're going to tell you over the phone, yes, we can beat it. No, we can't.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
CarMax makes mistakes too. Guess what? I've given a $100 bill out once. I'm not,
Yeah.
And I enjoy giving it to him. Like when I said it, it's not like one, because he gave me the opportunity. I feel like I owed him that $100 for that opportunity.
Yeah.
That's why I don't mind doing it. But number two is CarMax makes mistakes too. There's times where I was going to give a guy $100 because I couldn't beat it, and he goes, "No, this was really good information." I'm like, "No, please take the 100." He would take. The CarMax guy missed it. Like I don't know if he was drunk the night before and he missed the whole side of the car, was sideswiped, and it was. Yeah. But it's okay. I can't win them all. Yeah. But I would. Now I sound like a broken. It's transparency.
Yeah.
Tell them what it is. It is.
Do you guys buy everything?
Everything.
Running, not running?
Yeah, okay. I prefer running cars, right? Okay. Like I guess I'm not looking for a car that belongs at a junkyard.
Okay.
And the only reason I say this, I'll do it, but I'm not your best guy. And and again, I don't want to take money that you should get. Like, there's different companies for that. No, we buy everything. Yeah. But I would tell you, our specialty, and it's a huge range. Yeah. Couple grand all the way up to the sky's the limit, right? Yeah. But we do want a functioning car if we can. Yeah. If you have nowhere else to go, we'll buy anything.
Yeah. But. Okay. I'm going to list off a few things that you do. Give me a small spiel about what they are.
Okay.
Motorcars Palm Beach.
Motorcars Palm Beach is retail. Okay. Auto dealership, picking super high-end, typically high-end. Well, like I said, I talked about that Sanders guy. High-end vehicles that I've personally selected myself. Okay. That pass mustard. Kind of goes back to what I wanted to do when I started Midwest Motors in Polo, Illinois, where I get my paint meter out and I know every inch of that car. Okay. That in short is Midwest Motors. It's my baby. Motorcars. Sorry. Look. Thank you. Motorcars Palm Beach. That's my baby. Yeah. That's my my attachment to Highline luxury cars. My passion piece, right? It's on my big profit center.
We're here in the middle of it too.
Yeah, we are, right? Like there's some cool cars run. Turbo S, Black Series. Yeah. Again, I know every inch of these cars. I know what they are. Yeah. I like talking that type of car talk. That's what I do. And then go ahead.
Detail Garage.
So look,
Detail Garage Palm Beach. Yes.
Look, everyone says they detail cars. Yeah. We're not a car wash service. We don't. I dread when I see people take these high-end cars and they run them through. I call them the scratchers and stuff like. So we have guys that it's none of their business, but I pay way beyond what your mind would expect because they're actual detailers. They're trained individuals. Yeah. They know how to do old school wool pad buffing. Wow. They know how to do paint correction that you've never seen with Rupus pads and Rupus. And again, I'm talking out of turn because that's not my specialty. Sure. But these guys, I have a light tunnel where you bring it in. So we're not just worried about the top side of your eyes. We're looking lower down. Yeah. So we're
all services.
Paint correction. PPF film, window tinting, as well as full ceramic coatings. And we have a whole plethora. Is that even a word?
Yeah,
Plethora.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you're good.
My sorry.
Yeah.
Of different ceramic coatings.
How long? Let's say if I drop off a car, how long does it take for regular detail?
So just a detail. We don't do any details, and I don't want to say any that don't take a day. Like, because again, we're not your car wash, right? We're gonna take fine brushes and go through. So pretty much our minimum service we offer is in that $400 range.
Okay.
And then it goes up from there, right? Like, so if you want a full ceramic coating, and we're going to do a 3-stage buff, it can take, some guys are like, oh, we get it in and out. No, it's a 3-day process for us. It's a real in-depth process. We'll take the wheel off. We'll get inside. We really take it to that next level.
Gotcha.
So I was intrigued by a brand called Moke, weird looking car. And I was like, you know what? No disrespect. And I'm sure I'm going to get some hate on this. They're junk, man. They're absolute garbage. And it's like, I can't endorse something that's garbage. It was like, but there's such a need because here in Delray Beach, it's low speed. It's an LSV is what a GEM is, a low speed vehicle. They're designed to go 25 miles an hour. They're DOT approved. They're safe for the road. They have seat belts. They're forward facing. They're not like a golf cart. A lot of guys are like, well, I can get a golf cart. You can, but they're rear facing. It's horrible. And I don't encourage anyone to see it. It's a horrific videos. When you're sitting in the back of a golf cart, you get hit by a truck. Yeah, you lose your legs. It's really dangerous. So a GEM is a vehicle that I don't want to say I got passionate about, but I was like, there was a need in my area, right? There's a need in the market. It's a low speed vehicle, so you can take it right from my office, go right down Atlantic Avenue, right where all the shops and restaurants are. You can take it right to the beach. You can throw your friends in there, keep your gear for the ocean. And we probably shouldn't, but we offer the ability to make them go faster. So, so you can actually get these things if you so choose to go into the 40 mile an hour range.
Do you need like insurance on them?
Yeah. So they're a plated car.
Okay.
Get insurance. You plate it.
Okay.
We offer financing.
Nice.
There's a bunch of different options you can. Okay. And the other, so they really were designed. For business applications. So GEM is owned by a company called Wave. Okay. Wave owns Taylor Dunn, which is like when you see your luggage going to the airplane, those are typically Taylor Dunns. Okay. So we're actually going to become the Taylor Dunn dealer for the market too. So we'll start selling to the airports. GEM, also you'll see GEMs running around at airports. You'll see them in hotels. So there's a big commercial side. Yeah. But I really believed in, and I still do, that there's a huge consumer side of it. Okay. There's a little sticker shock. I mean, when you first see the price, you're like, it costs that much.
What's the average price range?
I would say they're $30,000. I mean, you can get them in the 20s, but I recommend the lithium-ion batteries.
And they're all custom built?
Well,
Or can you buy them used, or
You could buy them used. I sell used ones. They fly out of here if they're used. But we will special order ones. So you can pick different color interiors. You can pick different color paint schemes. Different trunk backs, different battery options. Gotcha. So that, yes, they're custom, different wheels, different clear roof or panel roof, non-panel roof. Yes, doors, no doors, heat, no heat. Wow. So again, there's a lot of different things. For local people here, GEM freebie. That's a company that's local here. Yeah, it's a free service that they use GEMs, right? When you're getting picked up for free and you tip the guy and they advertise all over, that's a GEM. Gotcha. So they're workhorses, right? They're not a golf cart. They're meant to last. So they have a higher price tag. Yeah. You get what you pay for is a true statement, right? So
absolutely. Luxury car offer, your newest baby.
Luxury car offer. Well, I love the name Cash Now. Cash Now, right? Yeah. Let's just call it what it is. Yeah. It doesn't have cachet. It doesn't have It doesn't have high end ringtone to it. And I have a lot of high-end clients and a lot of high-end clients. Yeah. I wanted to do something special that I could take on myself, where I could acquire cars throughout the whole nation, that I'm not just stuck within my bubble right here. Yeah. It's tough to do Cash Now Auto all over the country. I mean, I will at some point. That's my aspirations. Sure. But luxury car offer, with your help, I think we can reach outside of my local market and broaden that out. So anyone listening, if you're in California, if you're in Tennessee, if you're in Chicago, you can go to luxurycaroffer.com. And I personally, at least for right now, am going to take that on as like my baby. And we'll see how it works.
The cool thing about when it comes to like luxury, highline, exotics, not too many people can buy them because they don't have capital to buy them. And the other thing is, I think when you're selling luxury to somebody, like a car guy is talking to a car guy, it's just nicer,
It's fun. It's fun. No, it's a different, right? Like, the Cash Now Auto is like the quick, like get in and out. The both have the white glove type of service feeling, but the luxury car offers it's that next step, right? Like, a lot of people know that Florida is a seasonal area, but not Florida, but where I'm at in Florida, There's people that come in from into Palm Beach right on the physical island where like they call it Billionaires Row.
Yeah.
That, they come for season, they buy a brand new car from the local dealer, and then they really don't need that car to sit in their garage all season long, or all summer long, right? Yeah. They're not back to the fall, and that's when they buy a new car. So that's where luxury car offer, I hope, comes into play from a local standpoint, but then again, broadening it out to the rest of the United States, and hopefully can acquire some really great cars directly from the consumer that I know the story about, right? Like I know the guy never drove it in the rain, and I could tell the whole story about that car, and I'm excited about it, right? So it's our newest thing.
So we got Gem, Motor Cars, Detail Garage, Cash Now, Luxury Car. Am I missing anything?
No, I think you got it, bro. I think you got it.
Okay.
And I was the president of my condo association, but today's my last day, so thank God. Anyone listening, if you don't listen to anything on this, do not run for a board of a condo association, at least in Florida, right? Like, just don't do it, right?
Yeah. At least we know that he makes good decisions and bad decisions. So,
I told you that, right? Yeah. But I learned.
Yeah.
I learned. Don't ever do it again.
So tell me this. I know it's January, February. It's ending of February right now.
Yeah.
What does it look like for you for the rest of the year? What's the plan? Is there any goals that you have, or anything you want to do with either a specific business or anything you're changing, anything you're looking for? What are you looking forward to?
Here, we're looking for, again, Rome wasn't built in one day, however you want to put it. There's been a lot of things we've put in place for success. It doesn't mean you're making money right away. Like there's a huge build-up process. Like a lot of people are like, how do they? I'm looking forward because I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I see the again, I have to eat. There's no secret. It's a for-profit business. Yeah. I could see us starting to get into those tiers where we're going to start making some decent money, and I'm hoping that comes to fruition and fruition pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
So,
what can we expect now? You guys are making content now, which is, I think it's fun.
Yeah.
I've been here for just a few days now. You guys are I think you told me, you're like, hey, we could do like a show. Like we could just, our office as a show,
I think car dealerships in general bring the misfits of the world together into a realm where we just kind of jive together. So I think, I don't want to say it's just my place. I think car dealerships in general, there's just so many moving parts and so much chaos that you find the right crew, the right people, and they kind of become family. And then in return, I mean, the life of a car guy, it's different, right? Like there's some people that go and they're attorneys and they have their own thing. This business is, I can tell you this. I don't know what I'm going to walk into I own the place and I don't know what my day is going to consist of. 100%. I don't know what car is going to get sold to me. I don't know how successful I'm going to be that day. Yeah. There's no matrix or things that I can say. I could want to buy 10 cars. Yeah. I may buy 10 cars. I may buy 5. I may buy none. Yeah. It's hard work, but yes, to answer your question, I think I'm a funny guy. I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens. I think it'll be fun, and I'm definitely not perfect, right? Yeah. So I swear too much, let you know. And I think I could have some decent content that'll be interesting to watch. So.
Okay, last two things. Yeah. Where do you see, this is for dealers out there, do you see any changes that are happening in 2025 when it comes to the industry? Do you feel like it's going anywhere and you're interested? Like, is there anything there you're like, hey, I think it's going to be the same thing?
So I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to back up. So during COVID really quick, right? Yeah. So world came to an end. Was it 2020?
Yeah. 2020. I mean, for the
2021, right? Was it? Yeah.
2020 all the way to, but like for the auto industry, like the high, it was going.
When was the shutdown? I always get these days.
March 2020.
Okay. So March 2020, right? Yeah. So I remember here in Florida, world came to an end, and Dale Pollock, who was the founder of V-Auto, came out and said, basically, I don't want to put words in his mouth and I don't want to get sued, but the world's coming to an end. Yeah. Your inventory's worth shit. Yeah. Good luck, right? Let's say, I mean, I summed it up to what he said. He was grossly wrong, right? It is what it is, right? Instead, cars went through the roof. And why? Well, one of them was everything was shut down, right? Like, you have to remember, there was no manufacturing, there was no cars, there's still demand. So you don't have to be like a brainiac person, right? What do I think for 2025? And that's what I answer is, I think we have a new administrative, like him or not like him. I think we are, I can at least say that it's a business-focused administration. I think the car market is going to see another uptick, in my opinion. I think we're then going to realize there's a shortage again in the market. I think, because you have to remember, right, we're 2025. Yeah. the lease cycle is usually 36, 39 months of a lease cycle for a vehicle, right? So we're still in that shortage game, right? So I think, right, that we could still have a very aggressive, good 2025 because we got that uptick. There's a lot of unknowns, right? Like what's going to happen with interest rates. Some of the things that we're doing, well, I would hope. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we really got to watch on inflation. Giving $5,000. I mean, the most recent thing from the administrator saying they're going to give $5,000 checks back to that. In my personal opinion, I'm not an economist. Will cause and spur more inflation, right? When you hand $5,000 to every consumer. But with inflation going up, it causes that demand, right? Like if you give loose cash to people, the car market will start to go up. So in short, I think 2025 could be a very successful year. There's some things that are just unknowns, and that's life. There's unknowns, right? So I'm focusing on doing just really good business, making sure that I have the cash flow and availability to buy whatever I can. I've never said don't buy something. I've never, we're buying anything that makes sense. And we're probably paying too much for certain cars because I tend to believe certain cars are going up. I bought an M3 the other day, and every book in the world said you're stupid. I paid, and we'll see how it goes. I bought a Turbo S. Same thing. A lot of guys don't realize, Porsche is probably like the new Ferrari as far as the wait list. You want to buy a brand new Turbo S, like this car next to us, it's like a 2.5, 3 year waiting list. A lot of guys don't realize that model cycle started in 2021. It's the same in 2025, but the window sticker, and I don't know, but they've gone up like 20, 30,000 or so, or whatever it is. The MSRP has gone up tremendously. So it's keeping the value of these cars up, right? I bought a car and I paid over sticker for a 2023 model, and people thought I was nuts. And I sold it for over MSRP, and it's a 2023 model. So there's certain cars or certain segments I would tell anyone that's watching that's in the auto business, look, find your niche, find your cars. Don't just look at a book and make that the value. That's not how this game works. If you want to be like everyone else, you'll do that. MMR says this. No, it's not how this game works. You have to really be granular, dissect the car, and excuse my terminology, you got to stick your balls out there sometimes. You got to try. Right? It is what it is.
100%. So, okay. Lastly, if anybody wants to sell a car, where can they go to sell a car?
Well, the only place to go is cashnowauto.com, right?
Okay. Luxury cars, we can go luxurycaroffer.com.
Luxurycaroffer.com, but cashnowauto.com, luxurycaroffer.com, and you can just pick up the phone and call me direct. How about this? You have a car to sell. You can go to the website. You can call us. We want to do whatever you want to do to make it easy.
You can DM us too. We're going to be LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You guys could comment as well. We'll have our team reach out. Make sure you guys are taken care of.
Easy.
Cool.
Look, absolutely.
All right, guys. This was our first. We don't know if we're ever going to do this again. Who knows? I know Ben has some really cool, interesting guests that we may do another show.
Possible.
Maybe. I think we might break the internet with it. We're not going to say anything yet, though. But guys, we'll keep you guys updated with new content that's going to be coming out. And that's the show for today. We'll see you guys.
Thanks.